Coordinating Minister of Economic Affairs, Joaquim Amaral, Minister of Finance, Rui Augusto Gomes, Minister of Education, Youth and Sports, Armindo Maia, Minister of Social Solidarity and Inclusion, Armanda Berta dos Santos, Honorable Mr. Abrao de Vasconcelos, Governor, Banco Central de Timor-Leste, Banco Central Timor-Leste board members and executives, CEOs of commercial banks, insurance companies, other deposit-taking institutions, and fintech operating in Timor-Leste. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, bom dia. It is with great pleasure that I greet you all and send my warm greetings through this video message. I would like to congratulate you on the launch of the report on financial inclusion 2020, boosting financial services through digitization. With demand-side data survey and supply-side data analysis, the report is an essential read to understand the financial inclusion ecosystem of your country. Now, Banco Central de Timor-Leste has been an active member of the AFI network since 2010. AFI has supported the central bank through several initiatives, such as the development of the NFIS in 2017 and SME Finance in 2018, which saw the implementation of their credit guarantee scheme. The central bank is a member in our global working groups and also actively participates in all the working groups that they represent. In 2015, the BCTL hosted the inaugural launch of the Pacific Islands Regional Initiative PIRI in Dili, Timor-Leste, and is part of the vibrant initiative that is at the forefront of innovation such as the regional regulatory sandbox, de-risking, and inclusive green finance. Let me say a few words on the interpretation of the survey findings, which we at AFI find very insightful. At 61%, it is heartening to see that more Timorese adults are using financial services in 2020 as compared to 2018. It is particularly inspiring to see that more women use financial services than men. Timor-Leste has bucked the global trend with a positive gender gap of 8%. That means 8% more women use financial services as compared to men. As compared to the negative gender gap that we see globally, this is 7%. Indeed, the AFI network has a lot to learn from Timor-Leste in this respect. The second point I want to make is on innovative digital finance. These solutions made significant contributions in advancing inclusion in the country by providing access and enabling usage. I congratulate the governor, the staff of the BCTL and other stakeholders on the launch of P24, the interoperable national switch, and more importantly, integrating e-money services into the switch. BCTL's efforts towards regional integration of its national switch to facilitate regional cross-border payments is also laudable. The third point is on financial services access points. These points increased by a remarkable 200% from 1,642 to 4,925 during 2019 and 2020. Most of the growth resulted from e-wallet services and the increased network of e-wallet agents across the country. As an indicator, the number of agents and merchants that accept e-payments increased from 178 in 2018 to 3,182 in 2020, which actually is an increase of 1,688%. The last point I wanted to highlight is the following. The meteoric rise of digital financial services in advancing financial inclusion also means that the central bank and other government stakeholders have their task cut out to protect the customer and the integrity of financial services. Based on learnings from other member countries, here are some of the considerations for BCTL and the stakeholders to take digital financial services onwards and upwards. First point, increasing usage of digital financial services. What is promising in that digital finance is being leveraged for multiple use cases such as transfers, top-ups, tax payment, receiving government benefits, etc. To expand this further and to increase stickiness, there's also the need to take up customer-centric approaches to study the financial behavior of various consumer segments. Second, facilitating holistic stakeholder participation in advancing inclusion. Although laudable that e-wallet services have increased rapidly, the survey suggests that the use of other financial service and access points, especially of banking services, remain modest. This is justifiable given that the brick and mortar models are expensive and slower to scale. However, it takes a whole village to raise a child. Everyone in the ecosystem can play a role in achieving the vision of financial inclusion and by facilitating regulations. Banks can offer branchless banking and agency banking services. Other financial institutions, such as deposit-taking institutions, credit cooperatives, and MTOs can also become agent network managers to e-wallet and branchless banking providers. Third, protecting the consumers. As the number of financial access points and transactions increase, customers become vulnerable to the risk of fraud, leading to a loss of credibility and trust. The survey results show that the majority of the customer do not understand electronic money, with many unaware of fees, transparency, and disclosures. In this regard, the central bank should provide regulatory interventions to protect the consumers. AFI's policy model on consumer protection for digital financial services provides guidance to regulators on interventions related to product development, service delivery, redress, and related supervisory frameworks. Agents are also an important stakeholder in the ecosystem and can be subject to fraud or party to defrauding of customers. Again, regulators should offer compliance, supervision, and monitoring mechanisms relevant to the type of agent networks in the country. Fourth, ensuring digital financial literacy. Financial literacy and digital financial literacy have a long way to go. According to the survey, only 6% of the respondents were able to calculate interest rates. As seen in many other countries, increasing use of DFS can also lead to increase in gender gap because of digital divide in terms of mobile phone ownership, access to internet, lack of ID, etc. To avoid this, financial education and literacy initiatives are important. Digital tools such as mobile phones, apps, websites, videos, and interactive games-based interventions have proven to be effective. Leveraging digital tools is especially important in the ongoing pandemic scenario. AFI's guideline note on digital financial literacy sheds some light on this topic. Let me conclude. Timor-Leste's financial inclusion report will not only help local authorities, but also other member institutions to better inform their financial inclusion policies and strategies, targeting specific groups and thematic areas such as women and inclusive green finance. I also would like to encourage BCTL to leverage AFI's various services such as working groups, regional initiatives, capacity building, and peer learning exchanges, and in-country implementation mechanisms in its journey of advancing financial inclusion. Finally, I wish to again congratulate Banco Central de Timor-Leste for this milestone achievement and assure that AFI is continuing with its support in achieving your country's financial inclusion goals. Obrigado.